Very good afternoon, my dear students. Let's start with some critical discussion related with the drama, the Browning version. So let us come to the intro part. So I am scrolling it to the next slide so that you all can see. Actually, this play highlights the attitude of a teenage student. And what is the name of that student? The name of that student was Taplow. Now it was his attitude towards his teacher, and the name of the teacher is Mr. Crocker Harris. But physically we don't find any dialogue of Mr. Crocker Harris as such. We don't find any dialogue of him in this particular drama as much as they are in our syllabus. His comments are shocking because they are awfully close to reality. See, one important thing also I like to highlight, though I told it in my previous class also, that not only we get to know about Crocker Harris, but many shocking information also we received in the course of this casual conversation that was between a teenage student by the name of Taplow and an equally casual teacher by the name of Mr. Frank, or his full name was Frank Hunter. If you read the entire drama, you will find his name was actually Frank Hunter. So on one hand we get to know about the character of Crocker Harris. On the other hand, we get to know about the deplorable, pathetic, shocking condition of the educational system that was prevalent in Britain during those days. That also parallelly we get information on. I hope that part that I discussed earlier is very clear to all of you. And see, another important thing is that he impersonates, okay, he does a bit of imitation or mimicry of Crocker Harris also. He means I am talking about Taplow. See, he imitates the voice of Mr. Crocker Harris. He calls the man almost inhuman, but remember one thing, he calls him, the man's hardly human, but never he calls Mr. Crocker Harris a sadist. Remember it. Never ever Taplow compares Crocker Harris's mentality with that of a sadist. Never he does that. He is mortally afraid of his teacher. That is the reason so much afraid he was, and he knows that Crocker Harris is very strict, not like the other teachers. That is the reason he came to show the extra pending work to Crocker Harris when the very next day the results will be declared. This shows that he was very much scared of Crocker Harris. His promotion depends on the whim or goodwill of his teacher, because it is not the other teachers, okay, they would have easily given him the promotion, but when it comes to Crocker Harris it becomes very difficult, okay. But he opens up when the other science teacher encourages him to do so. Remember one thing, Frank had no other work to do, okay. He came there to date Millie Crocker Harris, the wife of Crocker Harris, with whom he was having an affair. And that is the reason, dear students, their purpose of visiting the house of Crocker Harris is not the same, okay. Frank's purpose of visiting the house was obviously to date Millie Crocker Harris, and Taplow's purpose to visit the house of Crocker Harris was obviously to interact with Crocker Harris if he can get a few bit of a hint whether he is promoted or not. And in order to impress Crocker Harris also, he came with the pending work that he wanted to evaluate from sir. But Crocker Harris was not present. Millie Crocker Harris was present, but Frank can't undergo the dating session with her in the presence of a school student by the name of Taplow. So there was no other way out. So these two decided to have a very casual conversation, and from their conversation only we get to know not only about Crocker Harris, but as I told you, the shocking revelation related with the educational system of Britain during those days. Apart from that, we get an insight into the character of Taplow as well as Frank also. We get an insight into their characters also. Okay, so see now, he hates the Greek play because he does not like the teacher's method of teaching, because Crocker Harris was very strict. His style of teaching was engaging, but he incorporates a lot of Greek words that makes it far more complicating. Okay, it becomes much more complicated. Now see, Mr. Crocker Harris seems to hate people in order to make them like him. That was actually his psychology. He seems to hate people in order to make them like him. That was his ideology also. And remember, Crocker Harris was every time very, very serious. He was duty conscious, or rather to say in other words, as I told you previously also, he was a very much work conscious. The description of the teacher is damaging. It reflects upon the hopeless quality of teachers. But see, a student can criticize. Definitely a student should not say, very many negative things about his or her teacher. Here I won't be saying that Taplow goes on saying many negative things, because we find that he had respect for Crocker Harris. We don't find him that he is completely disrespectful towards Crocker Harris. No, it is not the case. But we are a bit surprised by looking at the nature of Frank, who is very much eager to know all this, okay, and very much eager to engage in a gossip, okay, because see, Crocker Harris is his senior colleague, so he could have deferred himself from talking. He could have restricted himself from engaging in all this banter and fun, but no, indirectly, at the back of his mind, he did liked it, and that was the reason, dear students, we find him pressurizing Taplow to impersonate the mannerisms, the behavior, and most importantly, the voice of Crocker Harris, isn't it? Okay, up to this it is clear to all of you. Is there any doubt at the back of your mind? You can ask me. Dear students, is it clear to both or to all of you? Biprodeep, Oitirjo, it is clear to both of you? Have you understood up to this? Shall I move on to the summary part right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, so I'm moving on now to the summary. So just a minute. Yeah. Now here the summary I have divided point wise so that it may not be monotonous or boring. So the first one you see, a chance meeting between Taplow and Frank. A chance meeting, or you can say a chance encounter, because ultimately the intention of Taplow was to meet with Crocker Harris, and the intention of Frank was to be with Millie Crocker Harris, isn't it? But it was a chance encounter, and that developed into a casual conversation between them. Okay, see, the play presents a conversation between a lower 5th grade science student Taplow and Frank, a teacher. Okay, now a teacher and a student conversation is going on, and the scene of the play is set in a school, but it was near the house of Crocker Harris only. The play opens with a 16-year-old boy, Taplow, we know it, who has come to do extra work for his teacher Crocker Harris. He is waiting for his teacher who has not yet arrived. So actually Crocker Harris is a very important character, and we don't find any dialogue of Crocker Harris. We get to know about him as a teacher. We get a proper insight into his personality from the casual conversation, or rather to say from the conversation that that Taplow had with Frank. Okay, another teacher, Frank, finds Taplow waiting in the room and strikes a conversation with him. But remember, their purpose of visiting the house of Crocker Harris, located within the school or just nearby the school, was not the same. Okay, their intention of being there is not for the same purpose. Okay, now I am scrolling. I am moving on to the next slide. I hope this slide is also visible to you all. Taplow awaiting his result, because the other students from the other classes and other sections, they got their result, they know. But Crocker Harris was in a different league of his own. He is work conscious, He is very serious about his profession as a teacher. He is very honest also. That is also something we all have to know. He is very, very honest. Okay, just hold on. I hope there is someone on the line. Yes, a very good afternoon, Orithro. Welcome to the class.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. So I am discussing, I am revising rather critically the Browning version. So I hope the screen is visible to you, and I hope you can
Yes,
see
sir.
it. Okay, fine. Okay, so let us move on. The uniqueness of Mr. Crocker Harris is hinted as he does not tell the results like the other teachers do. This is a line I must underline, and I hope you all can understand what I am trying to say. He is very much duty conscious, okay, and that is the reason he does not tell the results like the other teachers, okay, he does not do it. He follows the rule of the headmaster, declaring the results on the last day of the term. What he does, he follows the rule of the headmaster, okay, because the headmaster declares it. Then the as a class teacher, it is the role of the class teacher then to declare it. But other teachers, most of the teachers like Frank and the rest, who are very casual about this teaching profession, who never takes this teaching profession seriously, in order to gain cheap popularity among the students, what they do, they give out the results. But Mr. Crocker Harris is a man of principles. He never does that. He waits for the headmaster to declare the results, and then he waits for the permission of the headmaster. After that he declares, and that is the reason, despite being good serious students like Taplow, okay, he is a bit anxious because he knew it very well that Crocker Harris won't disclose the results, okay, because he is very, very true, very honest to his profession as a teacher. Okay, so now I hope up to this it is clear. I am now moving on to the next slide. Yes, slide number 10. I hope you all can see Taplow's views on art and science. See, their conversation provides us an insight into the mind of Taplow. I told you all regarding this. Not only we get an idea, or rather to say a deeper insight into the psyche or into the mind of Taplow, but we also get an insight into the mind of Frank. Okay, how was he actually, what was his nature, we get to know about them also, okay, because they were having a conversation. Definitely Crocker Harris is a very important character, but how can we deny characters like Taplow and Frank? They are also equally good, and equally good in the sense that they are also very important characters. So we get an insight into their mind and psychology, not only of Taplow but also of Frank. He lets Frank know how much he dislikes the play Agamemnon. And Agamemnon is a Greek tragic drama that was written by the Greek dramatist by the name of Aeschylus. He is more interested in science. He admits that though the play is not that bad, the way it is taught is horrible. Why? Because Crocker Harris's teaching is genuine. He is a very duty conscious, genuine teacher. But what he does, while he gives his lecture, he teaches it in a very complicated manner. He incorporates a lot of Greek words, and obviously if the students they fail to interpret it properly after him, then ultimately they were given strict punishments also. So see, just a lot of Greek words strung together. Strung means closely attached. And 50 lines if you get them wrong. Yes, either you have to write down or you have to pronounce or utter 50 lines at a stretch if you get them wrong. Okay, so Crocker Harris is a very serious minded teacher. So serious he is that the other students are scared of him. And to some extent when he teaches, okay, it becomes much more complicated. It's already a Greek tragedy. It becomes more complicated because Crocker Harris incorporates a lot of Greek words while he used to give his lecture related with the play Agamemnon. Okay, and Taplow makes it very clear that after passing and after moving on to the senior classes, he wants to take up science. That he makes very clear. Okay. Now I am moving on to the next slide. I hope this slide is also very much visible. The question of the extra work. See, Frank is doing extra work as he had missed a class a week ago. Okay, I'm sorry, Taplo. Wait, I hope there is someone on the line. Yes, very good afternoon, Devanoy. Welcome to the class.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Okay, I'm revising actually the Browning version. So as I was saying that the extra work. Now why Taplo was there with the extra work? See, Taplo is doing extra work as he had missed a class a week ago because of his illness. Frank remarks that Taplo will certainly get his removed for doing the extra work, but Taplo reminded him that Crocker Harris is different from the rest. And as I already told you, dear students, that he is in a league of his own. He is in a separate league of his own. See, but Taplo feels the other way. He asserts such sort of rules do not work with Mr. Crocker Harris, as he is not like the other teachers who appreciate the students who do extra work. See, Crocker Harris is not like the other teachers. Okay, the other teachers would have easily told him the marks, would have easily disclosed how much he got, but Crocker Harris will never do that. So it is very difficult to impress him academically. I repeat one more time, I hope you can understand what I am trying to say. So strict nature of Crocker Harris that it is very difficult to impress him academically. And though we find that Taplo is there waiting for him with extra pending work in his hand, but Taplo made it very clear to Frank, who thought that he is showing extra work, definitely he will be getting good marks, and it's like a cakewalk for him related with his promotion. But Taplo made it very clear to Frank that these things can be applied in respect to other teachers, but these things aren't applied in case of a person like Crocker Harris, because Crocker Harris is very, very strict. Okay, now I am moving on to the next slide. Yes, I hope you all can see this slide. See what is written. Taplo's views about Crocker Harris. See, as for Taplo, Crocker Harris is a different kind of teacher. I told you that is the reason repeatedly I am repeating this line, that he is in a different league of his own. Okay, he is totally separate from the other teachers, and never ever he takes the help of cheap popularity in order to be popular. Okay, but he is the most popular teacher. Despite his strict mentality, the students do love him because of this strict mentality. Okay, but remember one thing, as I told earlier in today's lecture with you all, that Taplo commented that the man's hardly human, but never ever told Frank that Crocker Harris is a sadist. Never ever he told it. See, unlike other teachers, he does not tell his students their result before the judgment day. Taplo had asked Harris about his remove, and in response Harris told him that he has given Taplo exactly what he deserves, no less and certainly no more. And this shows the serious minded nature of Crocker Harris, because, and that one casually Taplo told Frank also that the other day in the class, okay, he asked Crocker Harris, very frankly, that sir, how much I got. In reply to that, Frank got the answer that the Crocker Harris actually told him, I have given you no less and certainly no more, indirectly referring to Taplo that whatever you deserve, I have given you exactly that. I haven't given you less marks, neither I had given you more marks. Okay, that is actually the nature of Crocker Harris. Also, we get ample of ideas regarding the nature of Crocker Harris. Now, I am moving on to the next slide. See, Frank's suggestion to Taplo. What was the suggestion given by Frank to Taplo? See, after calling Taplo, for extra work, Crocker Harris himself is late by 10 minutes. Okay. Frank points that as Crocker Harris is late, Taplow has a chance to leave and play golf. However, Taplow seems shocked at this suggestion and scared that Mr. Crocker Harris might follow him home. Now, this is something very, very important because Crocker Harris, he is different from the other teachers. And see, why Frank was very much eager to send Taplow. The reason is that the moment Taplow will be sent, by that time he can go on having his love conversations with Millie Crocker Harris. But in the presence of Taplow, it is not possible. Okay, but obviously that means the suggestion that was given by Frank to Taplow is that why don't you cut? Okay, that means it is written in your text, why don't you cut? That means why don't you move right now? You can go and you can play golf or any other sports activities. It's a long evening and later you can come because your teacher is already 10 minutes late. Now why he was terribly anxious to send Taplow? Because in the presence of Taplow, he can't go on his dating with Millie Crocker Harris. It was not possible. That was the reason Frank was very much eager to send Taplow. Okay, see? Now I am moving on, but before that you see this line. However, Taplow seems shocked at this suggestion and is scared that Mr. Crocker Harris might follow him home because Crocker Harris is so serious. Who knows, Crocker Harris might follow him home. Okay, now I am moving on to the next important point. Further completion on Crocker Harris's character. See, Frank admits envying Crocker Harris for the effect he has on his students. See, Frank and the other teachers, they do everything, okay, in order to gain the popularity of the students. Crocker Harris never does it, but still the students, they love him. They love his strict mentality. Okay, and see, and that is the reason Frank is very much envious of Crocker Harris, because Crocker Harris never ever discloses the results also. See, he asks Taplow if Mr. Harris beats them. However, Taplow tells Frank that unlike one or two of the other teachers, Mr. Harris is not a sadist. He is not a sort of person who would beat students and vent his frustration. Crocker Harris never does that. He is hard like a nut. That is the reason I told you all when I was discussing the text that he was a tough nut to crack. He is heartless and has no feeling for anyone at all. Crocker Harris been referred by Taplow that man's hardly human. That means he is heartless and has no feeling for anyone at all. Okay, it's very, very important. But Crocker Harris is indeed a person they all respect. They means I'm talking about the students. They all respect him a lot. Despite his strict mentality, despite his dominating presence, the students, they all love him a lot. Now I am moving on. See, Taplow's unusual liking towards Crocker Harris, and it seems that Taplow has a soft corner for Crocker Harris. I repeat one more time, Taplow had a soft corner for Crocker Harris. See, Taplow admits that in spite of all this, he still like Crocker Harris. In spite of all this means, in spite of Crocker Harris's strict mentality, okay, in spite of teaching the Greek tragedy in a far more complicated manner, his presence is something that is like an enigmatic presence. I hope you heard the term enigma. Okay, it's like a magnetic presence. Okay, despite he is a very strict teacher, but his presence is like an enigmatic presence to everyone, particularly the students. The boy narrates an incident when he laughed at a classical joke cracked by Harris, though he did not understood it. It was a gesture from Taplow's side to be polite to him, because once Crocker Harris, this is at the final portion of our chapter related with this Browning version, that once Crocker Harris cracked a joke in the class, no one understood, not even Taplow also, but Taplow felt that Crocker Harris might feel disappointed, so he laughed. Okay, and then Crocker Harris told him so that he can share the joke with, because he understood the rest haven't, so that he can share it with the others. Okay, but what exactly happened after that, it is not mentioned in your text, because at that time there was an interruption, because Millie Crocker Harris, with whom Frank Hunter or Frank was actually having an affair, came out. Okay, and Millie Crocker Harris actually came with a great plan. Okay, she wanted Taplow to bring some medicines, okay, for Crocker Harris. See, now I am moving on. Yes, Millie Crocker Harris entered. She was Mr. Crocker Harris's wife, you know. She suggests Taplow to run away for quarter of an hour. Around for 45 minutes, she advises him to leave as Harris has been at Butcher's. Butcher's, you can say, a stationery store, and may take quite a time to get back. And she even told Taplow, because Taplow stayed there only. And that is the reason Millie Crocker Harris thought to implement a plan, a master plan that will let this boy to be out of this place for at least 45 minutes. Okay, see, the behavior and attitude, of Millie Crocker Harris baffles Taplow. Baffles means Taplow was very much perplexed. He is not willing, that means he is reluctant. Not willing means unwilling, or you can say reluctant also, to leave, for it has been the order of his teacher whom he fears to disobey. Millie assures him that she will take the blame on herself, proposing an excuse for his absence. This is important, I am underlining it, dear students. She hands Taplow a prescription asking him to take it to a chemist and get it made up for Harris. Convinced, Taplow accepts the proposal and leaves Frank and Mrs. Crocker Harris behind. Now see, Mrs. Crocker Harris gave a master stroke that, okay, you bring some medicines, here is the prescription, take this basket. Emotionally and providing him sentiment, because those medicines, she told to young Taplow that these medicines actually belong to your teacher Crocker Harris. So Taplow was made convinced by her, and finally Taplow accepts the proposal and leaves Frank and Mrs. Crocker Harris behind, so that they can involve themselves in love conversation, because it seems that they are dating each other. Okay, so I hope up to this it is very clear. That is the overview. Critically, I analyze the entire drama for your convenience. Tomorrow also I will be discussing some important question answers, particularly short question answers from this particular drama, that is the Browning version. Up to this, is there any doubt? Anyone? Dear students, you did the class. I am very happy you all came to the class. Up to this, and listen to me. You all have listened to me. I am very happy for that. Grateful also. So I hope whatever I had discussed it is clear to all of you. Dear students, it is clear. Have you all understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with that, I like to end my class. Thank you all of you for a patient hearing, and thank you, and stay blessed everyone. Thank you everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you everyone. Thank you. Take care. Thank you.